think about your house. Why is your house property? What makes it property? Why does your house have property? Why does it consider real property?
I mean, I guess it's the folio number that I own. It's on a ledger somewhere, right?
Yeah, but what is it?
The title.
What do you, the title. Okay. The title is your cryptocurrency of your house.
It's the proof that that I own this property in case.
And why is it proof that you own the property? Think about that.
I mean, a title company.
There's someone that had the title before, right?
Correct. Yeah,
and it started somewhere.
Right.
The government decided this plot of land is able to be purchased
for sale, and then
it has this longitude and latitude. There's identifiable information that makes that right. It's kind of almost like the genesis, the account that gets generated, right? Here's the first of that house on that plot of land, and this is the first person that owns it. And then when it gets transferred to someone else, someone has to sign the title, or the title needs to change hands, and there's notaries, and you put a stamp on it and all this other stuff. But you have all this history. Now, title insurance and all that is meant to make sure there's no fraud, that there's no, that
something
it's all.
Yeah. So something, a claim comes from something that happened previously you weren't in control of.
Correct. All that needs to happen. Now, what is a ledger then? You have that cryptocurrency, that little deed that you have, that asset is now recorded.
You got to bankrupt some title insurance companies
eventually. No, it may not bankrupt them. I don't think anybody's really going to get bankrupt. I think this is going to transition to something new. But yeah, I don't think you'll need title insurance, by the way. Sorry.
No.
I don't know if you do that.
I don't sell it. That's fine. That's fine.
Good.
But I'm glad.
That's going to go away at some point.
But honestly, yeah, you're right. Just now talking about that, it's the trust verify. Why did that exist, right? It's a means to an end.
But everything, you gave me this mug to drink from, right? If you looked at, like, if there was like a spreadsheet of the world, it started in your cupboard. That was the account that opened it, right? And then you took it out. It's a withdraw, a deposit, withdraw, deposit. There's a whole history of all that somewhere. I mean, in the ether, not Ethereum, but it's there, right?
Right.
But that's all property, right? That's all assets of some sort. Even actions, all those things are there, right? But let me give you an example. So if you know now that this ledger is immutable, right? Because it take a lot of effort.
It's almost
correct to change it. It's not completely 100% not, but you would take a lot of force to do it with that 51% attack on that particular case, which is impossible now, I would think. Like it's so secure. That's why Bitcoin is the most secure cryptocurrency, because it has so much longevity and so many people mining and verifying and doing and working with them, because everybody within that cryptocurrency decentralized community is a part of that consensus. The miners are one point, the people that build the software, that's the wallet that holds the cryptocurrency, the users of the cryptocurrency, everybody has to agree. If they don't agree,
it's not moving.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Just like the government. That's like, if we don't agree that the US...
The 3 levels of government, right?
Yeah. If we don't agree with that, if we don't have faith in that, regardless of if it's true or not, then it's not going to work, right? I'll give you a couple examples that were really mind-blowing for me, right? So there's this guy named Manuel Arroz. He's from Argentina. He created this thing called proof of existence, right? So you could take a document or create a hash, which is a cryptographic equivalent or a unique identifier of that thing. So you can, if I send you a PDF, you create a hash, and I have the same one, I can create a hash. Both have to match, because the bytecode and all the technical stuff of that, when you generate the signature, they're going to be exact.
Okay.
Right? If you change the dot and it'll change it. Now it's not the same thing, right? This cryptographic hash. He would create this hash of this document, this PDF, and put it on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has the ability to add a little bit of extra data in that transaction, like a memo in a check, right? And you put that on the blockchain. So what does that mean? He's using the blockchain as a notary, right? If you went to a court of law and I said, this design, this JAG insurance brand, I used it on such and such date. No, but it's not copyrighted, it's not trademarked. But you know that as long as you can prove
that it happened,
that it was in commerce sometime, or where else is there a place where you can actually put a document or put an image and it's time-stamped, time, date, with the actual hash of that document, that you can prove that it is your document, cannot be changed. It cannot be changed. That's like, mind blowing. Think about that.
Just to talk about the eliminating fraud. Like
Think about that.
Even like credit reporting.
Think about that. So Florida, for example, and some other places, I do believe, and nobody should believe everything that anybody hears on a podcast, but I think the reality is that I think we have special laws now that, digital signatures are valid. But also I think you can record them onto a blockchain, right? And if it's a Bitcoin blockchain or Ethereum blockchain, you cannot modify it. Once it's been recorded there, you can't modify it, right? You just got to show that is you. I could put my name there. Gianni was here, 2014. There's probably something. I think I did put something on that thing at one point. It's there somewhere. Yeah. So that was like really mind blowing. That thought, that idea, right? And all these interesting things started percolating, and people doing gambling online on Bitcoin, where the odds are provably, you could see the odds. They're not hidden. It's a gambling algorithm, but it's there. You throw this dice and here are the chances of you winning or not.
It's insane.
Right? And you could see the money coming in and coming out because it's public. And that's what you're saying about the anonymity. It's pseudo-anonymous, pseudo-anonymity, because you have an account number, but it's not associated to Luis or Gianni, right? You can see money coming in and out from that account number, but only until you identify yourself as the owner of that account when you can tie your whole history.
Okay.
So anybody that's listening to it that think that's completely anonymous, if you just reveal one little thing that ties you to one of those pieces of the chain, they'll find out everything.
Right.
So pseudo-anonymous.
Pseudo-anonymous. And going back to what's going on, like here, South Florida, like in the city, right? With Mayor Francis, who's kind of leading, Mayor Suarez leading the charge. You brought up a term earlier about infrastructure inversion, which is still kind of like mind blowing. Like how what you're doing now, how excited are you what's happening here, like in our own city? I
mean, in 2014, there was a little group it was a Bitcoin meetup group. And it was like literally 10 guys. And so I think maybe there was a girl or I don't remember. I think there was pretty much guys that we'd meet in different places and we'd have conversations and whatever. And they were super Bitcoin. There was nothing else at the time. We'd go to Latin House Grill. Latin House Grill was the only place that would accept Bitcoin.
Back then?
Yes. Only place.
Interesting.
And there was no other, like, it was just all this, what is the future of what's going to happen?
It was a lot of theory, right?
No, that was already happening. Like you could send him Bitcoin and he was keeping it because he wanted it to be valuable. I actually asked one of his friends if he still had it because
he'd be doing pretty well.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if I don't think he did. I think he sold it. Like most people did because that's what happens.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, to see that in those days, and then we had this guy named Bo Levin brought the Bitcoin conference to Miami, which is his conference, and he integrates some Miami people every now and then. But I think that's partly some interesting things because of his conference. Some very interesting things happened in Miami because that year, because of my T-shirts, and for example, I had an opportunity to help the guys from Ethereum print some T-shirts. So they knew me. Hey, Gianni can print some T-shirts. You want to come over to the Ethereum house? And it was the night before they announced Ethereum. That happened here in Miami. I don't know if many people know that, but that happened here in a house in Miami Shores. Vitalik Buterin, Anthony Diorio, Charles H., Joseph Lubin, they're all there. And they're conversing, getting ready to announce it at the Bitcoin conference. And that's why I say Mo Levin's conference gave that a platform to talk to and bring Miami in the map. I became friends with all those guys after the fact. But that is exciting, right? That happened there. I don't think a lot of people really realize that happened here in Miami, right?
I would bet most people don't.
It was announced during that conference, and they're all from different places, but it was kind of like the antithesis was there. That Bitcoin conference had been happening in Miami over and over again, right? Even with your cousin, I would sit there and I would tell him all these crazy things that are happening. I was like, oh, we're going to create an association called the Crypto Consortio, because we're thinking of how would this help South America and Cuba, and maybe we can help, bring change in some other interesting way with monetary aspects.
Makes sense.
It's exciting now that this is happening because it's primed to happen, right? It could have been any city, you know. I think a lot of other cities could have had the opportunity to take hold of it. New York actually put a lot of regulations that made it more difficult to do it. Places in Wyoming, there's a lady that's like Caitlin, I forget her last name, but she's just like pushing amazing like legal things to make it more accessible, right? And make it easier. But the fact that we're having this conversation here is super exciting, super exciting. But you know, you said the inversion thing, and for anybody listening to this, I told you it's one of my favorite guys. There's a guy named Andreas Antonopoulos, and he has a lecture on the inversion of technology, right? And very basically, it's a great talk to hear completely from top to bottom.
It's mind blowing.
But the idea that back in the day there was a horse and carriage that was on a dirt road, right? And it's moving along, and then there's a guy in a little, you know, like a little motorized vehicle that's slower than the horse. It smells, it's loud. People think it's dangerous. People probably thought it's ridiculous that you can't even get gas. Where are you going to get gas? Or
like a toy for rich people.
Yeah, probably, it's like. But then maybe a couple of years later, it's like going a little bit faster than the horse. And then a couple of years later after that, there's a pickup version of it, and it's calling stuff that take 5 horses to pull, right? This little thing is taking it on. It's going a little bit faster, right? And now there's a gas station on the corner, and now there's like all these weird things that are developed because industrious people see the value of what that thing was going to do towards the future.
Right, the potential of the future, yeah.
And so this idea of inversion would happen. Now that buggy starts becoming the de facto thing used for transportation. So instead of the road being gravel, now it becomes asphalt because it's much more efficient for the car, but less efficient for the horse. And that horse now is not as effective on there. And that's it. It's obsolete. Not obsolete in the sense that we can enjoy a horse ride in the country.
Not as efficient, absolutely.
But it's not. It inverted everything, just like the internet did for communications. Sending letters. I mean, everybody had to communicate with letters. Now you send a one line email and you get pissed off, right? But the idea that can happen, that inversion happened.
But
right?
the new technology kind of sits on top, and it kind of
think about CDs and DVDs and laser discs. Like the bandwidth in the internet gave way to Netflix and all this stuff. Inversion. Those are like little examples, but
the same concept.
Yeah, but this blockchain is going to revolutionize everything. You know.
I mean, and with the stuff you're doing now, like how much, in your opinion, do you think businesses should at least familiarize themselves with the potential opportunities? Like how much is that? Because you still have a lot of skeptics, right? Not everyone's not so forward thinking, but it's there and it's real. Like how many people do you think should actually invest some time and money into learning more about blockchain?
I think everybody needs to do it. Just like if I would have told you when I started in the internet, right, in like 2000, I graduated high school in 95, let's say 96, right? 97, 98, 99, like all that time, right? It's when the internet is kind of like starting to take off. And I told you want to build a website. Why do I need a website? I want you to sell something on the internet. No way. I don't trust that.
Who's going to do that?
Hackers. I heard hackers are like taking my money.
Right.
Right.
That's exactly what's happening now.
That's what's happening. And so because of that, right now, we are there now. Well, we actually passed that a little bit because that was happening, 2009. I got in 2014. What year are we in right now? I mean, and now we have non-fungibles and we got all this crazy stuff happening, right? And celebrities are talking about it and it's in the news. And now Bitcoin, instead of being $1,200, it's $50,000, like the conversation is now, what is this? Why are so many people using it? Just like the internet. Yeah. Why do now I have no choice. I can't send the fax anymore, right? Fax is not effective anymore, even though there's probably still some people that send the fax here or there, but
do they? I don't even know.
I don't know.
E-fax maybe?
I don't know. But think about that.
But the thing about that, if you going back to like, if there's any way we can predict the future, you got to go back and look at history, right?
But so I have, my fault is that I'm like bleeding edge and I'm like too early for the party and I'm already tired by the party and I leave before the party gets started.
Right.
You're right.
You gotta get bored. You gotta be okay with being bored.
I gotta be, and luckily I'm so curious about blockchain that I took a little bit of a break here or there, but I'm so into it that I keep every so often there's new things that are happening, just mind blowing. Like it's crazy. And for a business, there's a lot of applicability. You know, we were talking about businesses potentially taking Bitcoin, right, as form of payment. That's great. But that's just like if you were adding PayPal or adding whatever. That's a cool thing.
Right.
You're giving someone that's crypto rich the ability to pay
an option
for their services.
It's their money. Why not use it?
Correct. Right. So that's cool. Right. But what else could you do with it? Right. In the insurance world, we talked about a lot of conversation. Maybe that's another topic for another day, because I like to go a little bit deeper, maybe with you, for us to explore what are the opportunities. And there are many that we've already talked about. I'm fascinated by it. Like there's a lot of really interesting things, but the fact that you have these decentralized thing, and we haven't even talked about Ethereum. Let's jump to Ethereum real quick, because I think that'll give more light into what's the power, right? When we talked about Bitcoin, you have this ledger that has an asset and it goes from one account to the other, and you have a little memo field that you can put some information, right?
Right.
Ethereum is similar to that, but there's another field there that you can add a formula to it, right? Or a piece of software. And now that software is immutable as well, right? You can't change that software. So if you and I said they call it smart contracts. Some people don't like the terminology, but I like it.
Well, because it can't be amended.
Exactly. And the contract that's signed, and it's smart. The smart is not really too smart, because it's not autonomous. It doesn't really think about it. So that part maybe is not so accurate, but you and I could say, I want to create a new account, right? Using all this algorithm that it can generate a new account, a new wallet address, and it's your account and my account. And then we're going to come to an agreement that says any money that goes to that account, I want to split it to your wallet and to my wallet. We put it in the blockchain and it's immutable. As long as money keeps going there, you can't change it. I can't change it. Think about that. That's super simple.
Very simple, no turning back, right?
But
talk about commitment.
But I'm saying, well, we can decide that we're not going to send any more money to it.
Yeah.
But if we continue sending money to it, we can't change the terms of that software. Now that has evolved, and now we have applications running on networks like Ethereum, and other networks have adapted like Ethereum, because as a programming language, now there's almost like a decentralized computer that can process these orders the same way they send a thing to verify if, hey, Gianni had the $10. Well, let me run this application on the blockchain, right? And then that other computer is running the application, and it's spitting back whatever the information is, and they all have to confirm that equates the same way in a sense. It's more complicated than that, but that's the real interesting thing. That's where you can build applications, you can build games, you can create new tokens, right? You can create your own Bitcoin on Ethereum or an Ethereum-like network, right? We can do JagCoin and generate 1 million JagCoin. And the only way that someone decides to use JagCoin or use your insurance is they got to buy JagCoin. And that's the currency in which they buy the insurance with. I'm not saying that's a right application.
I like it. I mean, we'll talk about it after.
I don't know if that's the application, but you have to give value to that JagCoin, correct, in order for it to get a monetary thing to come out, right?
The concept's there, but just like,
but the fact that you can do that,
the fact that you can do so many things is what's mind blowing.
Yeah. So my biggest passion is now, or since 2017, is the non-fungible tokens, right? And that's gotten a lot of excitement because there's some celebrities and artists that are doing stuff in it. Recently it's blowing up. But in 2017, because of Ethereum and it's the technology that provided people to build things, there are standards that are made in order to do certain things. The ICOs, which was these initial coin offerings and these tokens that raised a lot of money, a lot of craziness during 2017, that was a new thing, right? There was a standard that was made to identify creating coins on top of another network. They're called ERC20. It's like saying VoIP or HTTP or FTP or any of these protocols that say, okay, when I look at an HTTP website or an address, it's gonna have this. It has a standard that the browser can follow. So just the way Internet Explorer or Chrome or Firefox, they all can go to that and be able to draw the information and render it in a certain way. Just like if you have a phone and I call you voice over IP, that phone also has to be able to interpret the voice over IP protocol. Because if you and I are voice over IP, but this other one is voice over G, I don't know, we can't talk because they're not talking the same language, right? So they produce a language which is this ERC20, which creates your own tokens. In 2017, 2018, around there, this group called Dapper Labs created, or the standard was proposed, ERC 721, which is a non-fungible token. Instead of having one of many, just one of one.
One of one.
You know, a playing card, a collectible card, a mug. You know, sometimes I like to say that $1 is fungible, with this word fungible, and non-fungible, where $1 value is going to be accepted everywhere, anywhere you take it, all the time, right? But what if that dollar had like some imperfection, or a celebrity signed it, or it had like the head was upside down?
You lose it.
No, the design of it would change it, so it would make it scarce,
right?
And say, damn, I'm a collector of dollars and I want that one. I've never seen one like that. That's like the serial number is like all the same number, or can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like that's unique. I'll pay you $1,000 for that. So now that became a non-fungible because the value of it's there. It's a $1 bill. I can give it to buy un cafecito, right? But there's something unique about that one that gives it another bit of value. So the non-fungible, that they created this thing called CryptoKitties. Have you heard of this?
You kind of mentioned a bit about that.
So CryptoKitties, basically these algorithmically generated assets that were called cats. Just give it a name. It's a cat. But inside the metadata, it has a DNA strand. What's a DNA strand, right? The first 3 letters dictate the color of the eyes. The next 3 characters, what graphic of the face, if it had feet, color, all these different, each section had a different representation. And then when read onto the screen, their software would take that and take all these different assets and create the cat visually for you to see. But you own this asset that has this DNA that you cannot change. If you want it with a horn or with a polka dot, you can't get it. That's what you got, right? And that's how it gets rendered. If I send it to you, you get your cat with your little things. So that was really cool, right? You can buy these cats, they're collectible, it's like a toy, whatever. But now you can also sire them. So I can breed them with you.
Oh, it's continuing to evolve.
And so you can pay me
another DNA strand.
Your DNA strand, my DNA strand, I pay you to breed because you have something rare, right? In your DNA strand. And I don't know how they do the algorithm to take it. Well, now we have a little cat thing, and now we could sell the cat.
That's insane.
So during that time, well, till today, as I think 3 years have passed, I think they've transacted more than $29 million worth of these CryptoKitties. It almost brought the Ethereum network down because it requires, transactions to get into the thing, clogging up, like those fees that you have to pay to make things happen. Think about all this other stuff that's not like here to there. It's like software that's being run on the blockchain, which was drawing everything down. So that was like the antithesis of these ideas. And there were so many people doing really cool things like artwork on the blockchain and games where the pieces, you own the pieces, but now you can play with these assets, right? They render it in such a way. I talked about this with other people. Like, what if there's crypto kitties, but now you can give it a sword and you can get a hat and you can tie it to your cat. And because of the blockchain, we can play a game where you may have more hit points than mine because your DNA is stronger, and you win, you take my cat. All those things can happen.
And it's just continuing to evolve as well.
Correct. And now today, as of writing this, the same guys, Dapper Labs, they created this thing called Flow Blockchain at the end of 2020. And there's a lot of other blockchain NFTs that were games and other collectibles and all that. But they produce their own blockchain, like Ethereum, like Bitcoin, but it has its own qualities. Instead of they have a ledger, but one account can only own one asset at any given point. So that's kind of like something unique about theirs. But they had teamed up with the NBA, right? So they got IP rights to the NBA, and they created their own crypto collectible card game for the NBA. And in October, they released it, right? So you can go in, you can pay with cash. You don't have to have crypto. So they removed a huge burden in interacting with a crypto space because there's not a lot of friction.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to have a special wallet. You don't have to have this weird code that has numbers and whatever, which makes it quite difficult. You're not on this network. How do I get the Ethereum? How do I get this other token? It costs a lot of money for me to send it to here, there. No. You go, you buy your pack of cards, you go check out with your credit card, and bam, you got your little pack. Visually, you open it. The little cards come out. And they're moments. They have like videos of the basketball players doing their thing, right? I bought 2 at 2 for $9 and 1 for $24 during that time. And I was monitoring it. They had like about $24,000 worth of daily transactions in October. Something happened. I think people were bored being COVID, and the non-fungible art craze started happening, and people were selling art like crazy. And then this started getting attention, right? So all this stuff starts happening. And then I look at it in January, some guy had put a thing to look at your collection. I was like, man, my $42 collection is now worth $700, and then $1,000. And then every day I looked at it, it kept on increasing. And that had happened to me before with other crypto experiments that I've done.
So you're a little more reserved.
I was like, I know what's going on here. People are getting to know about this, right? But even with that, the value thing is great. And right now my collection is quite. I could probably buy a car with. It's not liquid, right? It's not like an exchange. I have to find the buyer for these cards. But what's interesting is not just the cards. That's a collectible thing. Some guy did a fantasy sports thing, right, with the cards. So you could create a little folder of your cards and have like a 3-pointer, a block, all these different positions, and pick your lineup, your fantasy sports lineup. You put them in your collection. You submit that showcase. They call it showcases, a folder of things, and it locks it in for the week. And whatever games happen, those point scores come out. It's in the public. You can't deny it. You can't change it. Well, you have your cards there. It calculates the points, and you win the cash prize of that thing. Now they just, like I was saying, they create a new utility from a sports card collectible game that never, when you had your tops paying cards when you were a kid, you couldn't do that.
No, and it's brilliant because they're going to start bringing up value for some of the better players and stuff like that. It starts to become a game within a game.
That's a game within a game. Like, what other things can you do now with these cards? Maybe there's an actual, I'll give you another example. If the NBA has their NBA video game, maybe you can only play, maybe you have a special character in the game because you have the NBA card.
Which I'm sure we just gave them a good idea.
They probably have it.
I'm sure it's going to happen too.
There is so much happening. There's so much opportunity. There's things called DeFi, which is decentralized exchanges. So instead of having like an exchange like Coinbase or other places where you go, it's completely decentralized. You are selling and I'm selling, and the smart contract is doing the work between connecting the two different people. There's collateralized NFTs now, which you can. My LeBron James that may cost $20,000. You want a piece of that, so I can create tokens from collateralize.
That's insane.
Collateralize my card, and you can buy a piece of my card. I mean, I don't know how legal that is. I don't know what the legal ramifications of it. It hasn't happened, but they are doing with other things in the space to experiment. But imagine that. That's like, and without anybody's permission and all programmed, right? Those are phenomenal, interesting things. But even more phenomenal is, Ethereum is really expensive right now to transact on, and Bitcoin can be whatever. But back in the day, I had this vision, like for Miami, we're talking about Miami, of doing a cafecito, right? Because if you have to pay cafecito with a credit card, that's going to cost the store 30 cents plus a transaction fee, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's just you getting the person to go there, right? But if I could get Bitcoin, at that time was like cents, or there could be another cryptocurrency now, let's say USDC or this thing called Polygon or whatever that has no transaction costs because all these things are evolving. Now I can buy that cafecito, and it's like there's no fee, there's no credit card fees, there's no network fees. Doesn't have to go through a network. Literally, I'm sending you the money, and you got it in your wallet. So that's another opportunity. Like, there are so many things happening. Or watching this video, let's say you did this video, and people have to pay to watch it. But instead of
we should,
but instead of like a fee, like a membership fee, what if it's based on the amount of actual time that you spend watching it, right? Where you top up your account, and instead of like, you're paying $20 a month, no, it's taking a micro of a cent
based on the time,
0.001 of every second that you watch, and you're only paying for what you watch. Like, that's a possibility with blockchain.
Dude, it's super exciting, man. Just with everything going on, I'm excited to kind of be doing stuff with you. Like, we'll take over the insurance world separately. We won't tell them exactly what we're doing, but being able to talk to you and kind of go down this rabbit hole is exciting for me. And I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah.
And whatever I can do to support you and your endeavors, I'm all in, man. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's
coming on to a Matrix.
It's exciting. It's a passion of mine. And like I said, what's happening in Miami is phenomenal because the mayor, is studying this. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do a lot of the things he's saying. I think the intention is to do stuff, right? But there's so much more that could be done with just city-based things and the blockchain and ways for people to be connected. Also, I'll just bring up one other suggestion or thought. Like, think about voting on the blockchain. You know, when you cast your vote, that vote is cast. Or politicians taking money for their campaigns, or governments taking money for their campaigns. We don't like the sort of we want to be private citizens, right? And I be identified, but we want the government. We want to see where the money's going.
No, talk about transparency.
You see the ledger.
I mean, that's what we want. It could be a problem for a lot of people too.
Yeah, it could be. You know, maybe there's some balance that gets whatever. But if the citizen wants to know what happened, here it is, right? You can show that all there. There is hundreds of examples. And the last resource, I say, the Andreas Antonopoulos, I think he's one of the prime people to listen to on the internet. He's completely non-biased. He is not part of any government. He's not part of any one project. There's some people that really love Bitcoin, some people that love Ethereum. He likes it all because he sees the possibility of how this revolutionized the world, that inversion of infrastructure, which is his topic.
Yeah.
So I recommend that if anybody wants to go deeper and get all the little nuances, how does mining work, whatever, he has fantastic videos that you can watch that will give you a lot of insight and kind of get you to a point where you're now on the level playing field of not having to understand how the car works. You could just get in, drive, and see the possibilities of what that car can provide you, right?
Yeah, I think that's the next level. The interesting part is being able to digest it, to look at all the potential opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Cool. I hope you learned something.
Now I want to talk about the insurance.